Aging may be universal, but how we age, that's anything but equal, especially when it comes to biology, food, and gender. While plant-forward diets like the Mediterranean, DASH, and Mind models are universally hailed for promoting longer, healthier lives, research suggests that men and women may experience different benefits from the same spinach salad. In the Great Wellness Relay Race, it turns out our hormones, body composition, and aging trajectories all help determine whether a bowl of lentils boosts your brain, your bones, or your heart, and the effects may not be quite the same for him and her. First, let's talk cardiovascular disease, which remains the leading cause of death for both men and women, but doesn't play by the same rules. Men tend to develop heart disease earlier, while women often catch up, sometimes dramatically, after menopause, when estrogen's vascular protections take a nosedive. In large cohort studies, plant-forward diets, rich in fruits, vegetables, nuts, legumes, and whole grains, have consistently shown protective effects for both sexes, but women seem to gain a unique edge when it comes to reducing ischemic heart events and hypertension risk postmenopause. For example, in the Nurses' Health Study, women with the highest adherence to the DASH or Mediterranean diets had up to 30% lower risk of coronary events. Meanwhile, similar dietary patterns in men, seen in studies like the Health Professionals Follow-Up Study, also improved cardiovascular outcomes, but the effect sizes were generally smaller and more dependent on reducing processed meat and sodium intake. Part of this may come down to fat metabolism. Women metabolize certain fats, like omega-3s, more efficiently than men, converting them into bioactive compounds that have anti-inflammatory and heart protective effects. And then there's fiber, the unsung hero of plant-based eating. While fiber supports heart health in everyone, it may have a particularly potent effect on cholesterol levels in women, especially those over 50, helping to balance LDL and total cholesterol with far less statin drama. But while women may be winning the plant-based cardiovascular lottery, the bone story is more complex, and in some cases, reversed. Osteoporosis disproportionately affects women, especially after menopause, and diet plays a major role in either fueling or fending off bone loss. Calcium and vitamin D are, of course, non-negotiables, but the broader dietary pattern matters too. Diets like the Mediterranean or DASH, particularly when they include adequate plant-based protein, magnesium, potassium, and vitamin K, leafy greens, have been associated with better bone mineral density and fewer fractures in aging women. Men, on the other hand, experience slower but steady bone loss and tend to show less dramatic benefit from diet alone, possibly because testosterone helps preserve bone mass longer. Interestingly, one study from the Framingham Offspring cohort found that high fruit and vegetable intake correlated more strongly with bone retention in women than in men. In short, a kale-heavy diet may be more of a bone savior in her case than his. Cognition, though, may be where the gender diet gap gets most intriguing and where the mind diet earns its name. Multiple studies, including the Rush Memory and Aging Project, have found that women appear to benefit more robustly than men from polyphenol and folate-rich diets when it comes to preserving memory and executive function. One theory is that since women are at higher risk of Alzheimer's disease, accounting for nearly 2/3 of all diagnoses, interventions that reduce brain inflammation, improve vascular health, and support neurogenesis might simply move the needle more for them. Another is that estrogen interacts with flavonoids and other phytonutrients in ways that enhance their neuroprotective effects, though the jury's still out on whether this holds after menopause. Men, meanwhile, do benefit cognitively from plant-forward diets, especially those high in berries, leafy greens, and nuts. But data suggests that reductions in red and processed meat consumption might matter even more for their long-term brain health. One study even linked higher red meat intake in men to increased risk of cognitive decline, while moderate wine, olive oil, and nut consumption seemed to improve verbal fluency and working memory. The brain boost may be more about subtracting than adding. And then there's the gut, because where else would we wrap up a gendered discussion of diet? Emerging microbiome research shows notable sex differences in bacterial composition, immune response, and even gut-brain communication. Women tend to have more diverse microbiota with higher levels of short-chain fatty acid production when consuming fiber-rich, plant-heavy diets. These compounds, like butyrate, are potent anti-inflammatories and may play a role in lowering chronic disease risk. Men, on the other hand, often show more dramatic shifts in microbial diversity in response to diet changes, which could mean a higher payoff from dietary interventions, but also a greater downside from unhealthy eating. So, who wins the aging game on a plant-forward diet? The answer is both, but differently. Women may see greater improvements in cardiovascular resilience, cognitive protection, and bone density, especially if the diet begins before or around menopause. Men may see gains in blood pressure, inflammation control, and gut health, particularly when their version of plant-based eating includes a major cutback on meat and sodium. At the end of the day, the secret sauce isn't necessarily in gender-specific superfoods. It's in understanding how biology and diet interact across the lifespan. Men and women don't age the same way, and it turns out they don't eat the same way either, even when the plate looks identical. But both can thrive on a plant-forward path, as long as it's tailored to their unique physiology and aging priorities. So go ahead, split the hummus, pass the greens, but maybe don't share your supplement drawer just yet. Healthy aging is personal, and sometimes even a little gendered.